All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I posted any new content. Haven't really been ripping a lot of packs and haven't really felt like recording any videos. But today I am excited to share with you my 1975 Kansas City Royals autograph collection. And so I want to get started with Kansas City Royal great Harmon Killebrew. And I'll be the first to admit that I had forgotten that Harmon Killebrew even played for the Royals. And the 1975 season was the only season that he was out in the Kansas City Royals. And here he is featured on that SSPC set. The only card that did feature Harmon as a Kansas City Royal. And he did chip in, I think it was 14 home runs that year. Adding to his career total 573 home runs, the 22nd year of his career. All right, in that 1975 season, that Royal squad was led by Jack McKeon. And Jack McKeon began the year as a Royal skipper, but after winning 50 games out of the first 96 games, the team brought in Whitey Herzog to replace him. And Whitey finished the season, and I think they ended up winning 90, he won 41 additional games. They ended up winning 91 games that year, but missed the playoffs. All right, next we have Doug Bird, number 29, Doug Bird. And Doug spent a few years as a Royals closer before he bounced around a bit in the league. And in the 1976 ALCS against the Yankees, he was brought in to start the third inning after the Royals starter Larry Gura gave up two early runs. And Bird came in and tossed 5 innings of one-run ball to help them eventually win the game, even though KC would go on to lose that series. But then in 1978, Doug did pitch again in the ALCS, but this time against the Yankees, he didn't fare as well. And in a pivotal Game 3, he gave up the game-winning 2-run home run to none other than Thurman Munson. All right, next we've got Nelson "Nelly" Briles. Nelly began his career in St. Louis and credited a lot of his success to his idol and teammate, Bob Gibson. Briles pitched in the 67, 68, and 71 World Series, starting 3 times and relieving in 2 others. He had pitched 2 complete game victories in the World Series for 2 different teams, St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Nelly died from a heart attack in 2005 at the young age of 61. All right, next we've got Steve Busby, known as Buzz. This card actually features a picture of backup catcher Fran Healy. And so Steve signed this one, "Not my picture." Pretty funny. Buzz actually threw 2 no-hitters in his career and was a 2-time All-Star. His career was abbreviated due to a shoulder injury in 1976, which was only his 5th year in the league. He was simply never the same again, just didn't have the same buzz to his fastball. He was later a play-by-play announcer with both the Royals and then the Rangers. All right, speaking of backup catcher Fran Healy, Healy was and that autograph is extremely hard to see, but I promise you it's on there in faint ballpoint pen. It's just very hard to see there on the side. Fran was a journeyman catcher who later became a broadcaster, and when he spent some time in his career with the Yankees, he became fast friends with none other than Reggie Jackson. And Reggie actually mentioned Healy in his Hall of Fame induction speech, making a comment, "I never got support from any player like I got from Fran." Pretty cool, and rumor has it those gentlemen are still friends today. All right, Al Cohen's. So Al had his most productive season in 1977 when he batted .312 with 23 home runs and 112 RBIs. Also earned a Gold Glove that year and finished second to Rod Carew for the American League MVP. Al died, unfortunately, in 2002 from a heart attack at only 50 years of age. All right. Next, we've got Bruce Dal Canton. And I do love that a lot of these are signed in ballpoint pen. That used to be the thing, and today everybody uses the Stadler or some, colored fine-tip Sharpie of some sorts. But I still have a soft spot for the old school ballpoint pen autos like the Harmon there. All right, BDC had a record-setting collegiate career with the California University of Pennsylvania. He was actually teaching high school in 1966 when he found out the Pirates were hosting an open tryout. He obviously impressed them and was signed to a minor league contract. Bruce was later acquired by the Royals in a 1975 offseason trade where Pittsburgh sent Amos Otis, Bruce, and Freddie Patek for Bob Johnson, Jim Campanis, and Jackie Hernandez. Bob Johnson, just as another side fact, had actually just set the single-season strikeout record for the Royals in 1970, I guess, right before getting traded. So kind of a pretty bold move by the GM there. But anyway, Bruce succumbed to esophageal cancer at the age of 67 back in 2008, and he is a member of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. All right, Al Fitzmaurice. I've met Fitzmaurice in person, hell of a nice guy. Al began his career as a shortstop/third baseman, even though he was a standout pitcher in high school. Once he accepted that he couldn't hit for squat, he went back to pitching and was ultimately taken in the expansion draft by the Kansas City Royals after the White Sox had left him unprotected. In an odd turn of fate there, he was also taken in another expansion draft in '76 by the Blue Jays when the Royals left him unprotected. Over a 10-year playing career, Fitz had a 77-59 record with a 3.65 ERA over 288 games, which included 159 starts. He actually threw 36 complete games in his career, which just happens to be 7 more than Justin Verlander, and had 11 shutouts, which were 6 more than Max Scherzer. Kind of a great company if you put the two eras in perspective. Fitz passed away a little over a year ago at the age of 78. All right, next we have Joe Horner, who's also got a fine ballpoint pen autograph here. Horner was a relief pitcher who played for 14 years in the majors, playing for 7 different teams. Joe actually never played for Kansas City in '75. He got acquired by the Phillies in the offseason and played there in 1975. On the offensive side, he hit his only major league home run at Wrigley Field off of Ferguson Jenkins. And then another interesting Horner stat, he held Hall of Famers Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks, Reggie Jackson, Willie Mays, Bill Mazeroski, who just passed away recently, Tony Perez, Willie Stargell, and Carl Yastrzemski to a 101 collective batting average. That group of Hall of Famers were 9 for 89 career against Horner. However, on another note on Joe's career, he did give up Willie McCovey's National League record-breaking 17th Grand Slam in 1977. Horner died in a farming accident at the age of 59, living in Hermann, Missouri back in 1996. All right, next up we've got Dennis Leonard. And here's Dennis Leonard in his 75 rookie card. That is a fine Statler autograph. That's a nice looking autograph here. Dennis actually won 15 games that year as a rookie in 1975, striking out 146 batters. His career best came a couple years later, though, in 1977 with 244 strikeouts, a number that's still impressive today, even with the guy striking out hundreds and hundreds of times. He did finish 4th in the Cy Young voting in 1977. Leonard spent his entire 12-year career with the Royals, and he led the American League in wins in that 77 season. And he actually led the American League in games started in 78, 80, and 81. And he finished his career with 23 career shutouts and 103 complete games. Dennis narrowly missed the call to Cooperstown as he earned 0.2% of the vote in his first year of eligibility. All right, next up we've got Buck Martinez. Buck was the team's primary catcher for the squad there in '75, and he was largely known as an offensive liability, but he somehow turned that into a 17-year career. One time he was traded twice in the same day. As I was researching a lot of these guys, I did come across this Buck Martinez moment that I wanted to share that came from the '85 season when he was actually with the Toronto Blue Jays. He broke his leg and severely dislocated his ankle in a home plate collision with the Mariners' Phil Bradley at the Kingdome back in July of '85. And after the collision, he still tried to throw out the advancing runner, Gorman Thomas. When the throw went into left field, Thomas tried to come home. However, he was tagged out by a sprawled out Martinez, who, despite having that broken leg and mangled ankle, managed to catch the throw from George Bell on the ground, thus completing a 9-2-7-2 double play. Yeah, pretty wild story. And Buck had a handful of moments like that in his career. All right, the 75 team was actually led by Big John Mayberry, offensively speaking. John had 34 home runs that year, along with 106 RBIs. And John is actually only one of a handful of players in Major League history to record at least 20 home runs and 100 walks in 3 straight seasons, 73, 74, and that 75 season. He made his only 2 All-Star teams in 73 and 74. And in 75, however, he finished second in the American League MVP voting to Boston's Fred Lynn. John was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. And just to be clear, it's the Royals Hall of Fame in 1996. Still quite the honor. All right, next we've got Lindy McDaniel. And Lindy looks like he's like 61 years old in this picture, so kudos to him for a whale of a career. Lindy's final year in the league was 1975. He retired at the end of the year, finishing his career with 987 games played. He won 141 games, and he had 174 saves. After baseball, Lindy was a devout Christian, and he dedicated his life to serving the Lord, working as an elder for the Lavon Church of Christ, sharing his Christian ministry when and where possible, all throughout his Major League career, I read. Lindy actually died from COVID, unfortunately, in 2020 at the age of 84. All right, next up, we've got the infamous Hal McRae, and Hal actually had a ballpoint pen signature on this bad boy to the side. I've met Hal's son a handful of times, Brian McRae. He had worked with the Royals organization for a handful of years, played with them for a few seasons as well. But not too many players have a rule named after them, and I don't know if you've heard of the Hal McRae rule, but it provides that a base runner that is not within reach of the base who takes out an infielder is out and the ball is dead. Other base runners cannot advance. Rule 7.09H was altered for the 1978 season in the aftermath of McRae taking out Yankees second baseman Willie Randolph to break up a double play in the 6th inning. If you have not seen that play, go look it up. It's pretty wild. All right, McRae played 19 seasons in the majors, and he later coached with the Royals, Expos, Phillies, Reds, Rays, and Cardinals, and he also managed the Royals and the Rays, designated hitter for the team for a number of years. All right, let's see. Next up, we've got Kansas City native Steve Mingori, and this is actually the only one of these that I had done in the Topps Mini. And so as I was searching for all these autograph cards, it was not that easy to find, and I had to send a lot of them in for authentication. And the only Steve Mingori in 75 I could find was in the Topps Mini, so that is the one oddball in this collection. But Steve was actually born in Kansas City. He attended Rockhurst High School, which is a big, prominent private school in Kansas City. And he also later attended Pittsburgh State University in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Steve made 264 of his 385 career big league appearances in a Royals uniform, later retiring in 1979. Steve was born on February the 29th in 1944 and was a leap year baby. Steve died from natural causes while still living in the Kansas City area in 2008 at the age of 64. All right, next up we've got Amos Otis, and I assume that's his signature. Which one is his real signature? So this card has the facsimile signature. I think it's the one at the top here. Fantastic autograph here for Amos Otis. He was actually named Royals Player of the Year 3 times and was selected to 5 All-Star teams. He was known as one of the 70s best center fielders of the game. He actually won 3 Gold Gloves for defensive excellence, and in 1976 he led the league with 40 doubles and helped the Royals capture their first American League West title. Amos was a quick fan favorite in Kansas City throughout his 14-year career, and he finished among the Royals' all-time leaders in hits with 1,977, 193 home runs, and 1,074 runs scored, while stealing 340 bases over 1,891 games played. Amos actually stole 5 bases in one game once, and he was the first Royal to ever steal 5 bags in a game. And that's a base running feat that's only been done 24 total times in the modern era. All right, this one's going to be a little bit longer because I had a lot of stories to cut down from Freddie Patek. Great signature on this, by the way. Took a lot of pride in it. I really like this card. I wish it was centered a little bit better, but I love the autograph on this Patek. Freddie actually shared the Royals Player of the Year honor with Amos Otis in 1971. A little connection there. Freddie was known as the shortest player in the major leagues, measured in at 5'5", and he was quoted as saying, "I'd rather be the smallest player in the majors than the tallest player in the minors." And after graduating high school, he was drafted for the Vietnam War. But when he arrived at Randolph Air Force Base in San Antonio, he saw something he did not expect to see, a baseball field. There were a few guys in the Air Force that he had known and played against, and they were organizing a baseball team. There were ex-professional guys from all over the country, Patek had later said. He went on to say they played a 140-game schedule every year, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened to him because the scouts got a chance to see that he could play. And in June of '65, his name was called in a different draft when the Pirates took him in the 22nd round. And when Freddie finally reported to the Pirates, he was a little anxious, and he was quoted as saying, "I remember when I got off the plane at Daytona Beach after signing, Pirate scout Bob Zook reported that I was 5'7" and weighed 170 pounds. I'd never weighed 170 pounds in my life. Here I am, 5'4" and about 120 pounds, soaking wet." Freddie's career took off after his trade to Kansas City in '71. The Royals batted him leadoff and unleashed him on the base paths, which was all Freddie needed to put together a career year. In 9 seasons with the Royals, he collected 1,036 hits, 571 runs scored, and 336 stolen bases. He was a 3-time MLB All-Star, and he later earned an induction into that Royals Hall of Fame. All right, Freddie Patek. All right, next up we've got Marty Pattin. The pen Marty used to sign this gave a little bit of a shadow effect, but still a fantastic auto on old hi-hat Marty Pattin here. Marty demonstrated great throwing ability at a young age. I love this quote. "Nobody in the neighborhood messed with me because if they got me mad, I was deadly a block away with a rock," he said back in 2011. Marty was the first and only pitcher ever to start an opening day game for the Seattle Pilots, August 13th, 1968. When in Anaheim, Marty experienced the top highlight of his debut season. He was pitching against Mickey Mantle. And Pattin went on to describe the at-bat. He said, "I worked him to a 3-2 count, and then my knees actually started shaking," Pattin recalled. "I said to myself, Mick, it's either you or me. My best pitch is a fastball, so here it comes. So I reared back and I threw him a high fastball as hard as I could throw it. He swung and missed it. Man, I could have floated off that mound. That was the greatest thrill." On July 11th of '72, he actually took a no-hitter against the Oakland A's into the 9th inning. And after he retired the first batter, Reggie Jackson singled. He went on to complete a 4-0 one-hitter. Pattin had extra incentive in the Royals' march to the 2014 World Series. The Royals' own Mike Moustakas had made headlines the previous year for calling 911 to report a hit-and-run accident. And the pedestrian who was struck turned out to be Pattin's step-grandson. Pretty interesting connection there. He actually ended up chatting with Moustakas, of course, and told him he was going to go on to do great things. And the next year, he won the World Series. Marty unfortunately died back in 2018. All right, next up we have Kansas City Royal great Vada Pinson, also a ballpoint pen auto that's a little hard to see there. I'll do my best to show that one. Vada obviously known for his career mostly with Cincinnati. In the spring of '58, he impressed everyone in the Reds spring training camp who saw him play. He was timed at 3.3 seconds from home plate to first base. I think I saw a video the other day on YouTube that said the fastest player, and I forgot who it was, and I never even heard of the guy, who was the fastest home to first time was 3.6 seconds, I believe. So that is amazing. At the time, they compared him to Mantle, Aaron, and Mays. He had great speed, great wrist, exceptional power, great instincts, and he played center field with hustle and grace, as it was described. He was a teammate and friend of Frank Robinson and Pete Rose, and in his first full 5 seasons with Cincinnati, it saw him amass 985 base hits, which were more than the first 5 full seasons of Musial, Mays, Aaron, and Frank Robinson himself. Vada averaged 197 hits, 108 runs scored, 37 doubles, 10 triples, 20 home runs, 88 RBIs, 26 stolen bases, and a .310 batting average. And again, those were his average numbers. He finished his career with 2,757 hits and is commonly ranked among the greatest center fielders of all time. Vada unfortunately suffered a stroke and passed away at the young age of 57 back in 1995. I'm actually looking to try to add a Vada auto rookie to my collection. I don't have his 58 Reds rookie card. All right, next up we've got Tommy Paquette, who was a rookie here in 1975. Tommy did not make his big league debut until 1976 after he suffered a knee injury early in that 75 season. Much was written about the Royals' fierce effort to build from within and to field players with the skills that suited their new big ballpark with the hard surface. They had the AstroTurf with the concrete under it. And they were looking for players with 3 skills: running speed, quickness, and arm strength, which is a formula they still employ today, by the way, and Tommy possessed all 3. He was a perfect fit for that model. Pokey ended up retiring in 1982 after a short but injury-hampered career after he was designated for assignment to Omaha, and he decided he would rather hang up the spikes than report to Omaha. All right, Tommy Paquette. I think he actually went on to coach for the team and served in various roles over the years. All right, next we have another very faint ballpoint pen auto. It's kind of hard to see there. It starts on his left hand there. Is Cookie Rojas. Cookie was actually short. His grandmother had given him the name, and it was Spanish for cucuy, which means cute or something like that, I believe. And the players picked up on that and started naming him Cookie. But Cookie, again, was only one of a handful of major leaguers who played every position in his major league career, including pitcher. Of that group, he's the only one that made the both American and National League All-Star teams. Cookie played 1,822 professional games, amassing 1,660 hits, and he played for 4 different teams. He is a member of the Phillies and Royals Hall of Fame, as well as Cuba's Baseball Hall of Fame. All right, next up we've got Tony Solaita. And I think I'd mentioned earlier, Tony ended up with, 16 home runs in that 75 season. He was actually only 21 years old when he broke into the big leagues in 1968 with the Yankees. He was wearing number 51, and he raised a lot of hopes in the Bronx that he would become the newest bomber when he won a home run hitting contest over 5 accomplished big league sluggers. All right, I love this one. The contest was between Tony, Reggie Smith, Ken, known as the Hawk Harrelson, because I think he had a huge nose, and they said it looked like a hawk's beak, Carl Yastrzemski, Rocky Colavito, and the great Mickey Mantle. So Tony hit 4 out of the 10 pitches out, and another drive that was barely foul almost left the stadium, hitting the facade. And Tony is the only Major League Baseball player to have hailed from American Samoa. And in 1975, while playing for the Royals, he hit 16 home runs and only 231 at-bats, which put him in second place that season, only to Dave Kingman in home run to at-bat ratio. Tony retired after the 93 season, and he returned to Samoa and created a baseball field to teach the kids the game. He developed many travel teams that enjoyed considerable success in many of the global tournaments. Later on, unfortunately, Tony was murdered in Tafuna, American Samoa in 1990. He was shot in a dispute over a land transaction, and there's various accounts that give varying details behind the actual circumstances on the dispute that ended his life. But Tony left behind his wife and 5 children, and because of all of his charity work and work he did for the kids, he's still held in very high regard today with the Samoan locals. Local hero of sorts, Tony Solaita. All right, next up we've got Split. Paul Splittorff. Paul Splittorff. Don't know why I butchered that name. Split was the Iron Man. He was the most durable pitcher, one of the most durable pitchers ever to play the game. Split could be counted on to give you 200 plus innings and 30 starts almost every year. He averaged 217 innings per season from 72 through 1980 and averaged 33 starts per season during that time frame. 32 years after he threw his final pitch, Split remains the Royals' career leader in wins with 166, innings pitched with 2,554, 392 games started, and 10,829 batters faced. During his career, he actually gained a reputation as a Yankee killer. The Royals and Yankees had quite the rivalry going through the late 70s and into the early 80s. In 5 championship appearances, he went 2-0 with a 2.68 ERA against the Yankees, and he once prompted Billy Martin to bench Reggie Jackson on Martin's notion that Reggie couldn't hit Split. Split was enshrined in the Royals Hall of Fame there in Kauffman, and unfortunately passed away back in 2008. His auto's down there in the bottom corner. All right, next up we've got another Kansas City Royals Hall of Famer in Frank White, and that's a fantastic signature on that one. I had a Frank White signature in a book that he gave at a book signing, and I cannot find that to save my life. I have to look for another copy at some point. But Frank was really known for his glove. He was a smooth fielder. He was a 8-time Gold Glove winner. Actually won that in 6 consecutive seasons from 77 to 82. He was a 5-time All-Star. And in 1977, he played 62 consecutive errorless games. I don't know what the record is there, but that is a hell of a feat. In 1980, he was awarded the inaugural American League Championship Series MVP award in the 80 ALCS against the Yankees when they led the Royals to their very first World Series appearance. I believe they lost to the Phillies that year, if memory serves. White actually hit cleanup during the 1985 World Series that the Royals would go on to win, and until Frank White, the only other second baseman to ever hit cleanup in a World Series was none other than Jackie Robinson. Frank hit twice for the cycle in his career, and his number 20 is one of only 3 numbers retired by the Kansas City Royals, joining George Brett and World Series winning manager Dick Howser. All right, next up we've got Jim Wohlford. Jim has a modern day autograph, and Jim had fantastic hair back in 1975. I hope you can see that okay. Intimidating force right there. Wohlford amassed 1,220 hits over a somewhat unremarkable 15-year career. He had some longevity, if nothing else, as he played for 4 different teams, mostly as a reserve outfielder, typically a left fielder. He was often used as a defensive replacement due to his superior fielding skills. But during his major league career, he became notable for saying the line, "90% of this game is half mental." After his playing career ended, Wohlford has worked as a financial planner in Visalia, California. Wohlford. All right, and last but definitely not least, we have one, George Brett, who has signed this 1975 rookie card with AL MVP 1980. Pretty fantastic card. This was definitely the toughest one to pull off here out of this set. Fantastic player, of course, a true Hall of Famer. I'm going to read a few interesting stats here. I'll try to make this as quick as possible because I know this is already getting a little long in the tooth. Brett led the American League in that rookie 75 season with 195 hits. He ended his playing days with a 305 average, and he's the first player to total 3,000 hits, 600 doubles, 100 triples, 1,500 RBI, and 200 stolen bases in his career. Brett batted .340 in 27 ALCS games with 35 hits and 22 runs scored. He holds ALCS records for slugging with a .728 slugging percentage and on-base plus slugging 1.128 total. Brett holds overall league championship series marks in home runs with 9, tied with Bernie Williams, and triples with 4. He's second with 75 total bases and 18 extra base hits in league championship play. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in '99, and his number 5, as I mentioned, was retired by the Royals. And I wanted to throw out a couple of facts. Did you know that George Brett was a member of the 3,000 hits club, and his 3,154 career hits are the most by any third baseman in Major League history? So take that, Mike Schmidt, who is the only third baseman I think that's generally considered to be higher than Brett on the all-time greats list. Brett's the only player in Major League history with a batting championship in 3 different decades. He won in 76, 1980, and 1990. And as a reminder, he hit 390 in that 80 season, coming very close to flirting with the first 400 season since Williams. All right, George is one of only 4 players to have 3,000 hits, 300 home runs, and a 300-plus batting average. And there's only 3 others, and that's Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Stan Musial. Brett hit for the Cycle on May 28th of 1979, and he hit for the Cycle again on July 25th, 1990, which holds a Major League record for the longest time between cycles with 11 years and 57 days. All right, folks, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed researching it and tracking down this unique collection. I actually had a lot more facts that I had collected on the players, but I realized it was really dragging this boring video out. So I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you watched on 2, 3, or 4x speed. And leave me a comment below with your favorite Royals memory or the favorite fact you learned from this video. All right, folks, I hope to see y'all soon.